What's up, everyone? Marc Lobliner, tigerfitness.com. And boy, am I excited to talk about this today because I literally just came out of a consult. Now, we had an athlete come to us with some issues, and I'm going to go over them in a minute. I'm not going to disclose gender. I'm not going to disclose what type of athlete. I'm just going to say it's an athlete. And today we're going to talk about systemic fatigue. Now, this is something that was presented to me with blood work, and I'm going to go over that in a minute, but I would like to give a huge shout out, and I'll post his Instagram down below, to Alex Kickle. Alex Kickle is one of the people that really helped me in understanding and helping this athlete hopefully get better. And I'm going to tell you what I found out through my research and also what I already knew and what we told this athlete to do. And again, there's certain things I'm gonna leave out because I don't want to go over the gender. I don't want anybody locally to guess who it is because that's wrong. But I will just say that my goal in life, and I didn't charge for this, and I actually provided supplements free of charge because I thought they would help. I coach because I love it. For those of you who know, I own a facility called Legacy at Carbon. That's legacyatcarbon.com. We coach a bunch of great athletes, a bunch of youth athletes, everywhere from 6 years old to, well, professional NFL players right now. We're really crushing it, and we do online programming as well, online coaching. We can program for your athlete based on the equipment you have, as well as in person in Franklin, Tennessee. We're located inside of Carbon Performance, which is the best gym in the world, owned by my good friend Brent Laffey, who I love like a brother. Actually, more than a brother. Sorry, Aaron. I love Brent more. But anyway, so I'm going to go over these symptoms, and then I'm going to go over what we're going to do. So systemic fatigue, and this is something I was actually researching it, and on the NIH, National Institutes of Health, US government, right? On their website, they actually identify this. Now, the really scary part is this individual, this athlete, went to doctors and practitioners, and no one can tell this athlete what was wrong. I'm doing my best not to say the gender, right? You get athlete, and no one could tell this athlete what was wrong. And so finally, this athlete's advocate came to me and said, we need help. And I said, you know what? I'm not a doctor, but I know a lot of smart people who could help you out. And one of those people, again, Alex Kickle, thank you so much, my good friend. And so I was looking over this, and I noticed that we had elevated cholesterol, okay? We had other things that were elevated, such as BUN, creatinine. The BUN creatinine levels were off. And it basically, the blood work showed that this athlete is dehydrated, very dehydrated. So what is systemic fatigue? Because that's kind of what's causing this, or it stems from it, right? Systemic fatigue, so this is defined by the US government, right? It is systemic residual fatigue that can carry on to overtraining, defined as a state of overstress or failure to adapt to an exercise load and or to a drop in performance level. So this athlete is one of the most intense athletes I've ever seen play. And this athlete has this ability to go beyond 100%. I know that doesn't make sense to you, but let me explain. When an athlete of that caliber is able to demonstrate a level of exertion that's insane. So I look at it like this. Let's say there's a person who bench presses 315 pounds, but that's their max. They can only do one rep, barely. That's their 1 RM. Barely locks it out. Couldn't do one more half a rep. But let's say that person's child is under a car, a 1,500 pound car, and they press it off. That's your reserve strength. That's your absolute strength. Your body doesn't allow you to tap into that because your body doesn't want to get injured or killed. The outright bar was created for my kids. My kids need a snack to eat during soccer tournaments, and also I wanted a bar for myself to eat pre-workout, post-workout, and also throughout the day. You want your outright bars right now. That's why we have a partnership going with the Vitamin Shop to make sure that we're in all 750 plus locations, providing the best price, the best service, the best people to give you the outright bar when and where you need it. So you have maximal strength, and then you have your absolute strength. I believe those are the proper terms. If they're not, you get what I'm saying. They are actually definitive terms. I'm just not sure if I'm using the right ones. So that I apologize. I have no notes other than what I told this athlete. So this athlete is able to play at such a high level because this athlete is a phenomenal specimen, a well-trained, um, great performing athlete. So when you perform higher, like the stronger you get on bench press, the more damage you're doing to the body, the more damage you're doing to joints. Same with performing at that high level, the more systemic damage or exertion or wear and tear you get. So I do have a study on this. It's actually a study on systemic fatigue, right? So how do we fix systemic fatigue? So first we have to address dehydration, right? Dehydration is a problem. So for this athlete, let's say weighing around, let's throw it away, let's say 125 pounds. I'm going to want around 70 ounces of water or more based on the exertion. This athlete will play in the heat for 2-3 hours, and this athlete will put even more stress on their system. So I want them to drink 70 plus ounces of water or more if straining, maybe add another 20 to 30, right? So one thing we also need to do is add electrolytes to the water, not just during the training or during the event, but during the day. 4 we need to look for are salt or sodium, magnesium, potassium, and calcium. So you don't need to put a ton, just enough, because when you have too much water and not enough electrolytes, it's even worse. In fact, it can lead to a condition that can kill you if your water outweighs your electrolytes. It's very hard to do, but it does happen frequently, actually, quite a few times in this country per year in the USA. Another thing that was added, this is something from Alex Kickel. One of his suggestions is salt every meal. Um, and any salt works, but I like to see a natural salt like Himalayan pink salt or sea salt, because it's not just stripped down salt. It's actually natural salt that has other trace elements in it that I believe your body could utilize to help with its overall health and balance. So here's another thing we like to do to help to get the body to heal and recover and make sure it's getting enough nutrients and to really get the body operating on a level. There's an athlete who's burning over 1,000 calories, probably multiple days a week, if not every day. Have a high carb refeed 1 to 2 times a week. So how do I explain this to a youth athlete? They don't measure their macros, right? Pretty simple. They usually eat around the same thing every day. And I saw this athlete's diet. It's actually not bad. So what do? Basically double your carbohydrate intake, okay? Double it. So if you're normally eating, let's say 1 bagel, eat 2. If you're normally eating 1 plate of pasta, eat another one, right? So, but if you have trouble getting in all that food, a lot of these youth athletes can't do that. Cut back from protein and fat that day just to make sure you get those carbohydrates, 1 to 2 refeeds a week, okay? Another thing is, I just want to do this for recovery's sakes. Set protein to a gram of protein per pound of body weight daily. So that's the nutrition thing. Now let's say during training, during the workout. So I'm actually a big fan of carbohydrate drinks. Your body's preferred fuel source is glucose. If your body lacks glucose, your body goes to amino acids and break those down via gluconeogenesis into glucose. If it lacks glucose and protein or amino acids, it goes to fat and breaks those down to ketones, which provide fuel, which in my opinion is suboptimal for performance, to glucose because it's much harder to get to. And also I find that based on my experience and what I interpret, ketones are great for the brain, not so much for function. Like if you ever, I don't need to get into it more, but just if you're an athlete, have glucose. So what does that mean? Well, during the event, have carbohydrate, right? Instead of drinking plain water, if you are someone who's dealing with this, nothing's wrong with Gatorade. Gatorade is glucose and fructose. Glucose is immediate energy stores, whereas fructose preferentially refills your liver. So when your body runs out of systemic glucose stores, your liver helps bring more to your body. Your liver produces that glucose, then fructose refills your liver. So there's what I recommend for that. Whereas we're looking for recovery, post-training or post-event, I'd like to see carbohydrate to protein at a 3-to-1 or even 2-to-1 ratio, depending on what data you read. So let's look at that as a half a chicken breast and some pasta or some rice, whatever these kids eat. They're kids. We can't put them on anything too crazy, right? So immune and health support supplements. Generally speaking, youth athletes do not like taking pills. They just don't. So when I look at that, I want to recommend a few things. Now, if this person is a female, I'm going to recommend something called Lacuna Nutrition Omnia. My daughter formulated Omnia for youth female athletes or female youth athletes because all female youth athletes are deficient in certain vitamins and minerals, or a large portion of them, because, well, let's take iron, for example. If an adolescent female menstruates, generally speaking, iron might be an issue, especially with the stressors they put on their body. So Omnia, I'll link it down below, is something I definitely recommend for athletes, even for male athletes. You can't go wrong, and it's all naturally flavored and sweetened liquid, tastes great, and I think it's a way to cover your bases. It's also refreshing, okay? Second thing I'd recommend is some sort of immune support. One thing we know, we can't get sick. What we know is when viruses are floating around, that some years vitamin D does outperform some V words in preventing viruses or eliminating negative outcomes and improving your recovery time. So I recommend 2,500 to 5,000 IUs of supplemental vitamin D per day, especially if playing an indoor sport where they're not getting a ton of sunlight, or if you live in the Midwest during the winter, right? So I'm sending out a newsletter multiple times a week or even every day. It's going to have deals. It's going to have articles. It's going to have exclusive stuff from me. The algorithm has not been good to me on YouTube, on Instagram. I don't know why. Maybe it's something I said. But anyway, go to marclobliner.com. It pops up. Put your email in there. That's all you have to do. You get all that stuff for free. Another thing I'd recommend for this situation would be ambrosia nectar. Ambrosia nectar is an organ and health support formula. It is the evolution. It is the greens killer. It gives you actually what greens products promise to give you, but it has all these standardized ingredients that actually deliver on their promises. So I would highly recommend ambrosia nectar, at least until we get to a point where the levels of the liver enzymes, the kidney, all that stuff levels out. I would take ambrosia nectar. So 1 scoop of Omnia, 2,500 to 5,000 IUs of vitamin D, and then 1 scoop of nectar per day. These are all available at tigerfitness.com. I will link them down below. If you don't buy these, it's fine. I think these will help greatly, but also doing what I recommended above will do a lot for it. Sleep. A lot of kids don't sleep. My kids sleep really well. We make sure they go to bed on time. But a lot of youth athletes don't sleep. They're up texting with their boyfriends or girlfriends, or they're playing video games or whatever these kids do, or they're just not sleeping. Make sure they get at least 7 to 10 hours of sleep per night. They are growing. They are also putting their body through extreme stress. So here's another one. This is a kickle thing. I've never used this. It's called a shock T mat, and it's supposedly an acupressure method that helps you to de-stress, systemically relax, whatever it is. So put on your back, lay on it for 10 to 20 minutes a day. I'll link that down below. I've never used one. I can't vouch for it, but I thought it was interesting. I think I like to think outside the box, especially when working on elite athletes. And here's the thing. Well, Mark, can't they just take time off? I want you to go to a young man or woman who is performing and trying to get a D1 scholarship and tell them to take a week off. Tell them to take 2 weeks off. And also, what happens when they come back? If you don't address these problems, they're just going to go back to square one, and they're still going to have the same issues. So we're not just going to Band-Aid on a bullet wound. We're going to address these issues. We're going to attack it, and hopefully we'll get that. So I would like to update you guys on how this athlete does. But for now, I don't think we talk enough about systemic fatigue. And the reason we need to talk about it is I've seen a lot of athletes, it's not abnormal, go through it because they're pushing themselves at a high level. And unfortunately, most club soccer teams, especially like Tennessee Soccer Club, the one we're at, they don't do anything for nutrition. They tell kids, all they do is they tell kids to drink chocolate milk post-training. That's a thing in Tennessee. Everywhere you go, there's literally signs like drink your chocolate milk post-training. It's like, okay, I go over the data. It actually is data, but whatever. That actually does make some sense, but that's really all they tell you. So clubs aren't, even though you're paying all that money for them to develop your child, they're not doing anything for now. Campton United, if you go to my old club I used to coach at, they still have my nutrition guidelines up there. I'll link that down below too. But it's not as in-depth as this because we're not dealing with systemic fatigue. If you did what I told you on that, you wouldn't get systemic fatigue. Or systemic, you wouldn't get it. You wouldn't get it. But we have it, so now we have to address it. Campton United, the ish. But every other soccer club you're a part of, I think they're more interested in your money than your kids being healthy. And the only reason why your kid's healthy is they get your money. It is what it is. But again, like, it's one club director or change of personnel away. Like, Campton United wasn't always that awesome. It was when a gentleman by the name of Colbert Smith and Scotty Keena came in and really changed that place. And it's a phenomenal club. If you're in the St. Charles, Illinois area, I love those people. I love Campton. I miss them so much. Such good people. Best job I never got paid for that I ever had. Loved every second of it. And the high schools, I mean, they have them for 2 months a year. It's not that big of a deal unless you're on the football team. That's a year-round program. Playing soccer in high school, they're basically taking a bunch of club players, putting them on a field and saying, go. Let's see what you learn in club. But generally speaking, you have a teacher coaching. So at most schools, not all, and there's not the budget they have for football. So you're just not going to get that information. I'm going to start doing some webinars. I'm going to start doing some lectures at Legacy at Carbon. So if you're in the Franklin, Tennessee area, I'm going to announce it. But I'm going to start doing these lectures, these webinars, these workshops for kids to avoid these issues. There's nothing I hate seeing worse than seeing kids get injured and kids get hurt. And I see that a lot because we expect them to do all this. They put so much pressure on themselves. We put so much pressure on them to perform at this high level. And they're performing at this high level, but then we're stuck with injured and hurt children whose careers end, or they just lose the love for it because they're always in pain and they're always stressed. We need to make it fun. We need to make it healthy. We need to make it sustainable. And that's what I'm trying to do. Like, I am so motivated right now. Like, you have no idea how motivated I am to just get out there and coach everybody. But unfortunately, we can't. We can't coach everybody. But if we could, we would. But we can help you online. Again, that's legacyatcarbon.com. And if you're in the Franklin, Tennessee area, we're right here. Myself, Coach Bryce, we'll get you right. And don't forget Coach Cammie. My daughter's there interning as well, mentoring under us. And we do some epic things, but we really do need to focus on nutrition. And after today, I'm going to make an effort to do more, not even charging for it. Some of the time, brother's got to get paid, but not even charging for a lot of what I do to make sure that these kids have the fuel and the tools they need to perform at their best, to become the best human beings they possibly can. Not just athletes. What we're doing now is setting forth the rest of their life, their work ethic, their pride, all that stuff, their self-confidence. Sports does that. So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Again, outside of Legacy at Carbon, if you don't know, I own a company called tigerfitness.com. I own the Outright Bar. I own a company called Ambrosia Collective. I own a company called MTS Nutrition. I'm partners in a company called Pump Chase. Also, DYEL, that's my smelling salt brand. Tiger's Piss and Tiger's Blood. If you would support us, we are a family-owned company based out of Loveland, Ohio. Myself, my wife, the Lobliners, as well as Chad and Erica, the Vortameshis. We are 50-50 partners in these companies, and we have employees, and we are an American company. We're still considered a small to mid-cap business. So if you want to buy online, you want to get your product within 1 to 2 days, free shipping, because we ship out of both the West Coast and East Coast, free shipping above $99. I implore you to please go to tigerfitness.com, support us, support our families, and get the very best products ever created. Anyway, guys, thank you so much. Again, that's tigerfitness.com. I'm Marc Lobliner. You can follow me everywhere from Instagram to Twitter at Marc Lobliner. Facebook is at Lobliner or /Lobliner because my other account got hacked and taken down. But I'm glad that's gone now because I hate Facebook anyway. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching. Love y'all. That's not a game. I used to have to go through dozens of bottles of vitamins, of supplements, just to get what I need. Look, I'm busy.
I'm running multiple businesses. I'm coaching. I'm a professional bodybuilder getting ready for my first pro show. I don't have time to sit there and do all that. I gotta go. I'm on the go all the time. That is why I created MTS Nutrition Immortal. Here's how they look. This replaces dozens of bottles of supplements. And let me tell you exactly what this has. It has probiotics, greens, liver detox, joint support, cardiovascular support, and the most complete multivitamin, multi-mineral supplement ever created. If you have a busy life or you simply want more time to do the things you love and be able to travel by just taking one simple little pack with you, Immortal's for you.